I'm clicking the wrong shortcuts. I'm on a PC. Fuck, clicking the wrong shit. Okay, so this is my first one. Let's just kind of break down how I got this effect here. Today I'm designing a vintage Apple inspired ad for Air Jordan. I'm pulling up to the grocery store just to get some food real quick before I start thinking about like inspiration and like, you know, what I'm gonna do, because I have no idea at this point. I'm back at the crib. I want to work on this design challenge. See if I can, you know what I'm saying, like come up with some ideas before I jump on the computer and just start cranking some stuff out. What I came up with for this idea, this would be an aerial view of the net and then the shoe inside of the net. As far as the text, I was thinking I'd say like every time at the bottom down here, kind of like to play off you making the shot, you know what I'm saying? And then it just says every time. Instead of the ball, it's the shoe. Every time somebody makes it, they're wearing Jordans or something like that. This, I was thinking something of like it's in the air. Everybody's looking up, so they're not paying attention to what they're doing because they're too busy looking up at what's in the air. But I'm not feeling too strongly about this concept, so I'm gonna keep on going. With this one, I was thinking the last few seconds on the scoreboard, that could probably end up looking like someone's jersey numbers. So I was thinking, oh, maybe it's 2.3 seconds left on the clock. And then it just says down at the bottom, it's no coincidence, or if you can't beat them, join them. I like this one a lot too, of just having the eye and then having the Jumpman symbol in the middle of the eye, then having like some text down here that says, if you can't beat them, join them. The rest of these are me just working through the layout of what I want things to look like, but I think as far as ideas, I'm probably gonna move forward with these two. Last night I was able to work through two concepts. Instead of doing like some sort of time-lapse video, I think it would be way better if I just walk you guys through the layer styles and adjustments for one of those concepts. Okay, I have my designs open for the Discord design challenge. I'll just show you guys what we did here. I'm clicking the wrong shortcuts. I'm on a PC. Fuck, clicking the wrong shit. Okay, so this is my first one. Let's just kind of break down how I got this effect here. We've got a bunch of levels and adjustments here. If I take all of those off, you can kind of see, you know, that it's just kind of, it's really subtle, but it makes a difference. It adds kind of like the warm tones into it. So this right here, the color lookup, is doing a lot of the work there as far as kind of like the tone of everything. And that is pulling from Fall Colors LUTs. Yeah, so that's just adding like a bunch of like warmth. And then we've got some textures here. These are the vintage magazine textures from my shop. And if I zoom in here, that texture there is very subtle. These are mainly affecting my black areas. I wanted to feel like it was scanned in, previously a part of a magazine. Those textures are kind of adding back in some of that real analog magazine texture feel to them. And let's get down here. This is kind of like an overall CRT effect that's kind of stacked on top of a CRT effect, but it's targeting kind of different things. This one primarily makes sure that the CRT effect is kind of expanding off into the background here. If I remove this, you can see that the CRT effect is no longer there and it just kind of looks like the magazine. I added that back in so that it's continuing to expand. I'm gonna break down how I got this kind of like radial glow effect. Let's see what we've got going on here. That's just like a shadow. There's some breathing room around the text and the Jumpman logo. And that's kind of adding like a subtle glow to it. The way I got this little glow effect, I started off with just kind of taking this layer right here and rasterizing it, then applying a Gaussian blur to it and maxing out that Gaussian blur so that I can get this glowing effect around it here. That got me to this point, but then I used a plugin called Eye Candy, and they have like this radial glow effect. Definitely check out Eye Candy. It's a good plugin. You can also achieve this effect in other ways. Photoshop has an embed radial glow effect that's like pretty cool. I just like this one because it had a bit more flexibility as far as adjusting the amount of rays. Let's get into the main part of it, the 2.3 seconds on the clock. This is a CRT scan effect that you can get from the Visual Pharmacy shop. I'll remove these layers so that you guys can see what it's looking like I duplicated this a lot so that I can get kind of like a glowing effect that's central to the text itself. Each one of these has a little bit of Gaussian blur on it. I just kind of stacked those up, you know what I mean? Just kept going with it. There's another, and then we got this one, then this one to kind of top it all off. And I put this one at a linear dodge add effect. The linear dodge add was the effect that I was really looking for. Something about it looked right, so I just went with it. I'll click into this one just so you guys can kind of see a breakdown of what that CRT scan effect looks like with just the effect. These are all broken down into the colors that make up the CRT scan effect. So red, green, blue. If you just go in here and mess with the scaling of things, you know, you can really start to get like some cool looking effects here as far as kind of what the CRT effect actually looks like, how heavy it is. If I mess with the blue values, it starts to kind of affect the outer glow of the 2-3 a little bit. That's the breakdown of pretty much how I got that effect. If you see something within the layers that kind of stood out to you, or if you want to know more about how I got this effect, feel free to drop a comment down below. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Moving on to the next concept that I had. Let's dive into the layers panel for this effect. A lot of textures. You can see I've got the vintage paper textures, and then I've got the cybertone textures. The cybertone textures reduce the warmness of it, but leave just enough to make it a little bit more dramatic. The vintage paper textures here doing a lot of the work for this effect pretty much. Like if I remove that, you can see what starts to happen. Then we've got the scan textures that are subtly doing like some post-processing of the entire layout and just kind of really putting the finishing touches on the ad itself. And then we've got a lot of the same adjustments and layers that we had in the CRT scan, you know, and I'll just kind of remove those so that you can kind of see what they're adding. Some warm tones to the overall kind of design itself. This is supposed to be inspired by an Apple ad, but it kind of feels like an early PlayStation ad more than it does kind of an Apple ad, but I'm okay with that, you know what I'm saying? The way that I got this Jumpman symbol to kind of look like it's in an eyeball and get the highlights around it was using eye candy, which is a Photoshop plugin. That pretty much did majority of the work here. This is just an eye that I just found on Google. As you can see, really concept heavy, not too much work on the back end, really just a lot of textures. That's a wrap for covering the layers for this design. Let me know if y'all enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy this video, man, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You know how the YouTube algorithm work. Help your boy out, you know what I'm saying? Enough for the small talk, you know what I'm saying? Signing off. Peace.